We are recording this, so we are recording now. So good morning and welcome to Build Your Own Bracket for Locura de Marzo. This is an activity that I do with my department. My AP Spanish students actually build the Locura de Marzo bracket, and then they after they build the bracket, we give it to all levels of Spanish. So the level 1 students, the level 2 students, the level 3 students, they get to actually participate and vote. But my AP kids are totally in charge of building the bracket. So I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see. And I just see that we had somebody else join us, the WLIMT coach. Would you mind typing in the chat where you teach and what levels, please? And is this Kristen Wolf? Good morning, Kristen. All right, so March Madness, if you've never seen it before, or Locura de Marzo, is a way that you can kind of build the momentum with your students and get them excited about Spanish and the music at the same time where the NCAA basketball tournaments are going on. And I think it was genius when Senior Ashby decided that he was going to start doing this, because the kids get really involved in what we're doing, and I don't have to hear so much about the basketball tournament that's going on. So what is it? It's a tournament for music. We have 16 different songs. I've changed this slightly because I usually add a pigtail bracket that has 3 songs. We did this on Friday. It has 3 songs for a competition to see which one actually makes the 16th spot on the bracket. And so by doing that, then the kids are like a little bit invested from the very first minute. So students listen to two songs per day during the month of March. You can begin March 1st, or you can begin anytime that first week of March that's convenient. It takes place at the same time as the NCAA basketball tournament. And the students are filling out brackets trying to predict which team or which song is going to win. And we vote during each class period to determine the winners. I also have little incentives that I give to students about correct votes, so they're invested all the way through. And why do we do it? Because it's a celebration of culture and music. And sometimes when we get to this point in the school year, it gets to be where it's kind of a grind for kids and it's kind of a grind for students. So not only is it an activity where they're learning about the music and they're learning about the culture, it also injects something that's a little bit fun, that's a little bit low key, that they look forward to every day. And so it's not like if you're giving a test or you have, assignments that you're working on, or you're working on their speaking skills. They just basically get to listen, enjoy, and then sometimes we get some pretty heated arguments over which song was the best. But it showcases a variety of musical styles. My AP students have been really good about selecting things from different genres. So we have a little bit of everything for everybody. This could be a full lesson every day, or it could just be your hook for the day. Most of the time I use this as my hook, but there are more things that you could do to add to the fun and add to the spirit of the day. And you really could build your entire lesson plan for March around this. And it adds that element of competition and fun to your classroom. We have so many athletes that end up coming through our Spanish classes, that they really do like that sense of competition. I don't know if you guys saw, but I did include the link to this presentation in the chat. So the entire PowerPoint is in there and it has all of our information on there. But if you want to know where it originally came from, Senior Ashby's website, it has his bracket from 2019, but ours is a little different because it's homegrown. So my AP students select the songs for the bracket, and those come from the current Latin Grammy nominees and winners. And I always start with this document. I've used the same one for a number of years, but when you go into this document, it basically has the same basic website, no matter which year it's been. But I usually give this to the students after the last Latin Grammys are presented in November, so they know which songs won for the category and which songs did not. And so they go through. If you went down to the bottom of this, I think there are like 57 different categories. Some of them are in Portuguese, so they're not exactly something that we want in class, but there are a lot of things for kids to choose from. And songs have to pass my test to be included on the bracket, and students know that going in. My AP students know that they have to look through the lyrics and make sure there isn't any offensive language in the song. And they also have to watch the video and make sure that it's something that's appropriate for class. So the things that we do put on the bracket, they end up being things that you could show in a classroom without having any issues. And I see I have maybe a question. Okay, I'll put the link on there again. There you go. You're welcome. So, whoops. You have to, I collaborate with my colleagues about the final selections. So once we have all of the kids' choices, and I always put one in too, because that's fun for me to be able to have one in there. And so songs have, I collaborate with my colleagues. So we usually take one of our PLC meetings and go through the songs. This year, since I only had 13 AP students, I had some spots available on the bracket, but my colleagues, Profa Reberg and Teresa Mountains, always like to contribute something as well. So we put some extra songs on there. So the kids have a bracket to fill out. They got them from me on Friday. I believe my colleagues are going to do theirs on Monday. So when I make my bracket, I put it in Google Classroom and I make sure that all the links to the songs are live. And then we give out prizes for the best record, who got the most right. So songs are shared with kids in advance. So the ones that are motivated go through and they listen to everything in advance. That was a mistake I made the very first time, because I gave kids a bracket and didn't give them the links and told them they just had to fill it out based on what they thought. Well, they had no real knowledge. They hadn't watched the videos, they hadn't listened to the songs, so they didn't really know which things appealed to them and which didn't. They kind of just voted by which artists they knew and which ones they didn't. And so it's much better when they get the brackets in advance. And so what my AP students liked, this is the assignment that they get. So I put it together in a Google Slides presentation, and each one of them, so I put my instructions on slide 2. So when it's due and what they need to add to it. And you know what? I think I put the wrong link on here. Oh no, this is from a couple years ago. This one's fine. So my kids actually had a due date in December this year, because I had this information by the time Christmas break rolled around. But then I always put my slide on there first to give them example of how that needs to look. And then as kids go through, then they add their selections. And in their selections, and actually, I'm going to go in and find, maybe not. I'll just share another link with you here in a minute that has the more updated one. So these were songs from the 2020. These were from 2020. And so those weren't the current ones. But here's what our bracket looks like this year. So this was, like I said, the pigtail bracket. So kids had voted on Friday to see which one ends up being the number 16 choice. And of course, the Bad Bunny song won. They love him. And we found one that probably will hold up. There's one naughty word in there. And I think if it wins, we would be able to edit over that. And Kristen, I have a love-hate relationship with him because there's some of his stuff that I love so much, but you can't use it in class. So yeah, and I wish he'd just clean up his act just a tiny bit, because sometimes even when his videos are not offensive, the language that he uses in his songs is. And yeah, so but it will go in this slot, and I don't see it getting by Tacones Rojos. If you have not heard that song by Sebastian Yatra, it won for Best Pop Song last year, and it's all over. Plus, he made a Spanglish version with John Legend, and the video is beautiful. It was shot in a palace in Madrid, and it's fun. So we have a Becky G song where she's singing with El Alfa, Imagina with Jesse and Joy, Juan Luis Guerra. So you've got some old school information, or old school music in there as well. Some more calm bachata salsa. Pablo Albarán from Spain, Fonseca from Colombia, Carlos Vives, and I like your comment, Kristen, about makes it tough to honor him. You are right. And then our other 8 songs, the one that is 0 Hour by Siddhartha, one of my students really dug to find that song. And it's a very, very interesting song. Then Karin Leon and Matisse from Mexico. This is a little bit more of the ranchero music. It's got a really nice vibe. And then Las Dudas, Sebastian Yatra and his now current girlfriend, Aitana from Spain. Camilo has one on there. And then Carlos Vives again with Fito Paez from Argentina. A song from Bomba Estéreo. This Nicole Zignago she was nominated for Best New Artist. She didn't win. This was not my student's original choice. She had a song that she had chosen that was Me Gusta Que Me Gustes. And she was talking about, I like that you like me. And it was a relationship between 2 females, which is not a bad thing. I wouldn't mind showing that. But with the new law that was passed in Montana, I wasn't sure that it was going to pass the muster. So we went with a different one of hers. And then Payavoy, Mark Anthony. This one is one that if a teacher was using these materials and they wanted to change it to something else, they might want to, because there's a lot of alcohol and a lot of smoking in that video. So as things win or lose, I move them forward on my PowerPoint or on my slides presentation. And this is where we get to our final 4 and our overall winner. And then I had 4 bonus songs this year that we just thought were so good we couldn't leave them out. So the Baloncito Viejo with Carlos Vives and Camilo, Algo es Mejor with Mon Laferte. He's really interesting, and this video is just really got a really cool vibe. El Mundo Está Loco with Jorge Luis Chacin. I fell in love with this guy when he had his song Contento out, and so I like anything he does. But this also has a really interesting video. And then Carlos Rivera and Rake, both from Mexico, takes Rake kind of out of their pop roots and more into a traditional Mexicana canción. And let's see. Oh, I didn't show the student bracket, did I? This is what the kids get. So after we voted on Neverita and it won, I actually put it in the slot, but you can see all those links are live. You can just put it into Google Classroom, then they have access to it, and then they can make their choices from a place where they have good information. So they really got to listen to them and decide which is good and which is not so good. And so AP students help seed the songs. So after they do their original presentation with their classogram and they have presented all their song choices, then they vote on each other's. So they get to vote for their top 5. So if it gets a first place vote, it gets 5 points. If it gets a second place vote, it's 4, etc. So I end up with an actual numerical score so that I can put these songs into the student bracket. And so because these 3 songs were songs that we kind of added at the end, they didn't really have a score, but Tacones Rojos had the most votes, and Payavoy actually had the second highest votes out of my AP kids. So the underclassmen get, as I said, get the brackets. They do that as a homework assignment. And so brackets have to be filled out for them to play. And so they have to be in class to vote, because I have had students try to call a friend or text a friend to make them vote when it was a close vote to see if we can break the tie. And so when the kids have theirs all filled out, I collect the brackets and I keep track. So every day when something wins, I highlight the winners and they earn prizes. Sometimes it's just a piece of candy, but if they get the first 8 song choices right and they go 8 for 8, they get a homework pass. So either a homework pass or 10 extra credit points added to a quiz or an assignment. They can do that. And so then the 8 for 8, they get those. If they also get the final 4 correct, they also get a homework pass. If they guess the ultimate winner correctly, they'll get a homework pass as well. They don't have to have all the other songs right, just if they have the overall winner. And if I have anyone that gets a perfect bracket, I get them a $5 gift card at City Brew, because it's right across the street from us now. So, and on Friday, I sent out an invitation to the rest of our staff. So anyone that wants to participate can. I have had our assistant principal, our one assistant principal, Shelly Strofe, has participated every year. The secretaries always participate. And so I put those adult brackets up on the closet to see how they compare to what the kids had to say. And so Shelly is defending her title from last year because she had the best adult bracket. So she came in on Friday and told the kids, she said, you better pick the right songs because I have a title to defend. So it makes it kind of more inclusive. And then I've shared it with the entire staff so we can get everybody on board. So if you need additional activities with this, you could have students do translation of the chorus of the songs each day. You could give, like, you could even do this in groups where you gave one line from the chorus. Say there are 4 lines in the chorus. You could give it to one line to 4 different groups and have them jigsaw it for each other. They can make a list of the words that they recognize. Sometimes I turned on the closed captionings and sometimes not. Sometimes that's just an extra distraction. Sometimes I have them write an extra verse for the song. Sometimes I have them do a close activity, but I always do those type of close activities when we finally have the winner and we're going to have that or the song that we learn. So they'll ultimately have a little quiz on it. Sometimes oral exit tickets where they say which song they liked and why, and they have to give me a good reason about why they liked it. And then sometimes students can write a short paragraph. If the video is telling a story, this is a good preterite and perfect activity because they can write an exit ticket about what they saw and who did what. And sometimes we investigate the biographies of the artists a little bit more in detail, and kids have to take some notes on those. And that is the end of my presentation. So I will stop sharing, and I think it's probably okay. You guys can both unmute if you want to and see if you have any questions.
I had a question. I teach middle school, and so I'm wondering, like, a lot of these things that you're saying are very, like, geared toward AP. So how would you adapt it from middle school?
Well, even in middle school, Kristen, the kids can recognize some simple words. So, you could even pick out like, for example, the Camilo song Pegao. He's talking about his baby Indigo and how she's stuck to him all day long. So if you looked at it and you had some simple words that you picked out, you could just put those on the board and tell the kids where they heard them and when. And sometimes even if it's a translation activity, if you gave them just the chorus part and they identified words that they could understand without having them translated for them, those are all activities that you can make those more difficult or less. The close activity, if you did it, if it was middle school kids, I'd maybe not put more than 10 words on there. And I'd probably put a word bank up at the top and have them fill them in where they found them. And I would make sure that I picked out things that were used several times in the song. So.
Cool. Those are good ideas. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you so much, Alice.
You are welcome. Have a wonderful day, and I am going to stop recording.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy your other sectionals.
Thanks,
Alice.
Yes.
Will you share the presentation with me? I requested it to be shared. I couldn't get access to it. So.
Okay. All right. I will send it directly to you. Which email do you want it to go to, Kristen?
Let's do you want to do kwolf@wlimt.org? kwolf, WOLF @wlimt.org.
Okay.
And is it okay if I put it in the PNCFL folder, like Google Drive?
I don't think I did put it in the PNCFL folder, but if I share it with you, you can put it in there.
Yeah, I can do that.
I have everything that everybody that has access to it is everybody who has access to the link can see everything. So.
Yay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Take care. Good work.
All right. Thank you. Talk to you later.
Bye. Take care.